Well, good morning. Monday. And today we're going to be turning some pens. Want to tag along? Better suit up. It's cold out here this morning. So what we're going to be doing today, we're going to be turning some pens. This is going to be raw footage. I'm going to have to run it through the editor because it's taken on a phone. But I'm not going to do any snipping or clipping. I'm just going to tag the pieces together. It's going to be rough. I'm going to warn you right now. I got a dust collector. The dust collector is going to be right in your ear. You can either listen to this with the volume off. You can turn your volume down. I probably will have commentary running through here. I have done some tests. You can't hear me over the dust collector, but I just tend to ramble on when I'm turning anyway. This is going to be for the hardcore enthusiasts. If you're really into this, if you really want to see your pens turn, this is going to be real time. It's not going to be sped up. It's going to be real time turning a half a tray of pens that I have to do for the end of August. I offer no apologies. I'm kind of judging your reaction. I want to see if people are interested in this. If people want to watch this kind of thing, I'll do more of it. Let us know. Tell us what you want to see. Would you like to see something like this sped up double time, maybe with some music in the background? Leave off the commentary, add commentary, do voiceover even. I hesitate to do that because that takes a lot of time, and we really don't have a lot of time to edit. That's really not the purpose of our YouTube channel. We just kind of want the customer to see what's going on and see what we're doing, maybe see their pens made. Which brings up the point, if you have a pen that is made at the tail end of August, then it might possibly be in this video. Anyway, if you're ready to tag along, here we go. I do want to show you right before we begin, this is my setup. This is my lathe I'll be turning on, and this is my rigged up camera mount. You might have seen the picture yesterday's Facebook or a short video where I was rigging one up on the other side. This is what I came up with. But the thing with this is, as I'm turning, I have a camera in my face. So take that into consideration that I have to literally work around a cell phone here, that I'm going to be working on both sides of this camera. I mean, this is what I'm going to be seeing for this tray. So keep that in mind as you're watching this. So today, we're going to be finishing up August Facebook pens. These are the pens that I have left to turn. And we'll be putting them on this tray for Carol to finish polishing later. As we go through, these are the instruction sheets. I've covered the names for privacy. I know a lot of you probably don't care, but even so, this is what I have to work with. Carol writes these up, and these are the instructions. The bow tie regular is that one right there I've already turned. So we are now on a 3 bump with the middle elongated. Because I need both hands, I can't show it, but I take the blank and I take it over and I clean out the holes with my drill. And then I put my bushings in the end and I mount it on the lathe. Here we go. First step is to true it up. I have to close the lid for this. Still have some flats. That'll be okay. When I turn to shape, those will disappear. That is as big and thick as that blank can possibly go. I can't add any more meat. This is what it is. One trick I have to be symmetrical, I flip the blank around. So now I'm at the same angle as I was on the other side. I can pretty much match it up. Now we sand. I wanted to take a second to explain our naming scheme. As you saw, we call this a Jessica 5 bump. What is a Jessica 5 bump? This is named after the person that came up with the shape originally. We have a few of these. Carol will call them something else in her album, and when you're talking to her about the blank that you pick, you'll know it is a 5 bump with the 3 and 5, or was it 2 and 4? 2 and 4 small, or some other naming scheme. But shorthand, we just name it after the person that came up with the shape originally. Just like you'll see some sandwich shops and hamburger joints and that do that with their food. Okay, here we go. Use your ears. Listen to the noise transition. It's still rough right there. But as it smooths out, it gets nice and quiet. It's more of a swish. So we have a 5 bump. So I mark equal segments. And I am working around the camera. It makes it a little more difficult. These are not exact. When I'm actually cutting these, I will use my eyes more than I use the mark. The mark just kind of gets me in the ballpark of where I need to be. I understand that these are equal segments now. But sometimes when you're cutting, you're a little bit off one way or the other. So at the end, you really need to rely on your judgment, your eyeball, to get it right. Jessica 5, we want 2 and 4 to be smaller. So I cut inside of the lines on these bumps. Don't want to push too hard right here. You can break a blank real easy. Let the tool do the work. I call this the pig sticker because of that squealing. It's like sticking a knife in a pig. The reason for that is because the blank's unsupported in the middle and it vibrates. So what you want to do is at the end you want to smooth it as best you can and save some work sanding it. Alright, now I got it roughed out, now we round over. Always push downhill to start. That way you don't get snagged, you don't blow anything out. Once you get the corner off, then you can go back. And Aluminite's a lot more forgiving than a lot of other mediums. Now I'm going to change angles for this last one. I'm going to come in from this side. I like watching the YouTube guys that are afraid of this. They use air guns and everything else to blow it like it's going to chop their finger off. Now if you get your finger pinched between the tool rest, that's going to hurt. But, I mean, it's not going to bite you. Now I want to match up this angle to the other side. Best I can anyway. Eyeball it. Back and forth. A little bit more. Now give it one smoothing pass. Well, it ain't smoothing when it's squealing. Not much I can do there. It's vibrating. It's just not perfectly balanced. But sandpaper will take care of that. Turn the volume down a little bit. Start with 120 grit. 120, 150, somewhere in that ballpark. All that squealing leaves chatter marks, especially in these valleys. That's where you're using your fingers. It's rough there, it's smoother there. You can feel it. You want to get all that chatter out of there. You want a nice, smooth. Plus, you're still doing some final shaping with this. Kind of clean things up. And you can't skimp on the sandpaper. You don't want to oversand the bumps. Now I hit this one a little hard, it's a little bit smaller. So I need to take this one down a bit. And remember, we're just eyeballing this stuff. It's not going to be perfect. As a matter of fact, that's still too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to crank it back up. I'm just going to shave a little bit more just to get it in there. You don't want to overdo it. That's good. Let the lathe slow down. I usually sand somewhere around 1100 RPM. 1050 to 1150, somewhere in that ballpark. Okay. We're nice and smooth. We're fairly symmetrical. Let's move up to 240. honestly 400 grit. Now we're starting to polish. This gets nice and silky smooth for Carol so she can start out wet sanding it. She's got a good base to start with. No chatter marks, no deep scratches. Nice smooth surface. Honestly, polishing's the hard work in this. Turning and the dry sanding is the easy part. Yeah, there's skill involved in it, but until you've actually polished one of these pens, you really can't imagine how tedious and hard that can be. There you have it, Jessica 5-bump. Can't see my finger in the viewfinder, jeez. There it is. Bow tie, swooped. She wants thick. I want to talk about this. This is a good case in point. The customer wants these pens thick. You can see I have trued this up. That's still a flat right there from one of the sides and right there. So essentially, this is a starting point. That's as thick as that pen can go. Now, here's the problem. You want a bow tie swooped, which means that it's going to have a big center bump and it's going to have a swoop in an end. I have to decide, do I err on the side of thickness in here, or do I err on the side of a pronounced bump, which by necessity means that I have to take more material out? How thick can I go and still create the illusion, anyway, of a thick 3-bump pen? It's a balancing act. And this is a decent blank. Some of the blanks that I have, by the time you true them up, they're a quarter again. A quarter smaller than this. It's what I have to start with. That's why your thick pen is not necessarily as thick as we'd like sometimes. I use my judgment. Most times customers do prefer, if they want a shape, they prefer to see that shape. They don't want a straight pen. And that's understandable. So I try to compromise. I'm going to make it as thick as I can in there. But it might not be as thick as you'd like. Okay, we're going to measure for the bow tie. 5-inch blank. Notice too, when I measure, I'm not worried about 1/4 inches, 1/8 inches. I just basically eyeball it. I got as much on that side as I do on that side. It's in the ballpark. It's close enough. I don't necessarily want to split the bump out to be a full inch. So I'm going to go between the marks. And again, the measurements are a guideline. At the end of the day, I use my eyeball to make the final determination of where I'm going to go with it. So I start out, I try to center on the mark with a pig sticker. Now, remember thick. Thick, still pronounced. These bumps don't matter so much because you're not going to be putting your fingers in here. It's down here where you're going to be at. And I try to balance them. A little bit more. Now remember that flat. I've got to get that flat out of there. Alright, now for the swoop. So you just apply a little more pressure where you want the swoop to go in. And then bring it out. I judge it. That's nice and thick, but is it pronounced enough? Do I stop there? Do I go on? I don't like this transition. I'd like to go a little deeper, but I think I'm going to call it right there. It's not as pronounced as I would like it to be. And try to match it up as best you can. Is it symmetrical? Now I would say yes. Now looking at it from this side, I don't like that valley. It needs to go just a hair deeper. It's also not as pronounced. It's more of a slope there. That's it. settle down a bit. There we go. I just want to take a look at this and see if I see any chatter marks, and I do not. So we're good to move on.